Hi everyone. Thank you for listening to Hearts Flow blog. This is Isha Whipple, also known as Lady Whip. I pray that this blog will be a blessing to your life and an encouragement to your day. God bless. Is change truly possible? This morning I had a very interesting conversation with a friend of mine that left a lot to reflect upon. She spoke about a friend who was mistreating her, and she was feeling a bit struck and didn't know what to do or where to go from there in their friendship. She said something that struck my heart in more ways than one. To be honest, the conversation as a whole struck something in me in more ways than I wanted to admit. As we spoke about the latest situation, I told her she needed to stand up for herself and tell her friend how their mistreatment was making her feel. That she was worth more than that, and ultimately it was her decision what she would choose to put up with in her friendship. She then said, I can try telling them the truth about how I feel when they mistreat me, but they won't change. People don't change. Let me make this very clear. That's a lie from the pit of hell. People can in fact change if they truly wanted to. That's the key. They have to want to be changed. For a sinner, all God requires is a yes and a willing heart, and He can transform the most vile person into a great man or woman of God. There are two aspects of the conversation that stuck out to me. The fact that she was not confident enough to stand up for herself and demand the respect that she deserves, and the fact that she was bent on believing that people couldn't change. So what did I do? How did I react to this moment that seemed to come to a complete stop in my world? I let the power of my testimony step in. So here it goes. I was married for 6 years before I met and married my husband, Derek. We met in church and were blessed with 2 beautiful children at the time. The mistreatment started as small things, like a comment here or there, or a look when I would say or do anything. I noticed and it would bother me, but I said nothing. Why? Because I thought it would magically change or get better, but it didn't. In fact, it got worse. The humiliations became more frequent, and he became so bold as to do it publicly as well. They escalated to physical, mental, sexual, and emotional abuse. Why? Because at that point I failed to stand up for myself, and quite honestly, I didn't think I could get any better than that, so why risk losing my husband over trying to stand up for myself? Yeah, crazy logic, I know. I know that now, but I didn't know it then. I had to learn that I was worth more. I became so saddened and depressed by what I felt I was dealing with alone that I began to cope in ways that wasn't healthy for me or my kids. While I felt I was careful in protecting my kids from a lot, I was truly hurting them by killing myself with my actions. I smoked, I drank, and constantly allowed my ex-husband, his family, and his friends to mistreat me. That's the thing about situations like that. When others see that you allow the closest people to you to mistreat you, they will find no reason to respect you. I stole from family for drugs and placed myself in situations that were both compromising to my safety and my health. I let everyone and anyone disrespect me, both privately and publicly. I was in a very bad place and was headed for death and disaster if change didn't come soon. So what happened that made me change? What happened that made me okay? That brought about change in me. Do you really want to know the truth? Can you handle it? Okay, well here it goes. I was asleep one night in my bed, my children sleeping in their room, and my ex-husband out drinking and clubbing it up as usual for a Friday night. I found myself being woken up by the sound of him drunkenly walking through the door. I roll over toward the wall and try to go back to sleep since I didn't really want to be bothered by him that night. It had gotten to the point where he would pick fights almost every night when he was drinking, and the weekends were brutal as they would always end up in some type of physical abuse. About an hour or so later, I was woken up again by the rumbling of the bed as he climbed in, but this time was different. This time it was him and another woman climbing in bed. He had brought a friend home with him, and they had not only spent the night with each other, but they decided to come to my home and sleep with each other in the same bed I was currently sleeping in and shared with my then husband. Yeah, I know. This was where all the "I wish he would have, if that were me" type comment starts. However, it wasn't you. It was me. I was insecure and not in a place where I knew I could handle myself, nor did I think I was worth more than that in that moment. So what did I do? I played sleep and silently cried for the remainder of the night till I fell back asleep. It wasn't until the morning as the light broke through the blinds that I had to come with the grips of reality. I remember it like it was yesterday, the feeling of watching my children walk in with the most confusing look on their faces, as they saw mommy laying in bed and daddy spooning and asleep with another woman in his arms. It was in that moment that God ever so sweetly whispered in my ears, "Daughter, you're worth so much more." That one phrase changed my life's path from that day forward. I got up, I showered, and took that young lady home as my ex-husband slept in bed. She was painfully quiet the whole ride, and as she got out of the car, I turned to her with the biggest smile and said, "You can have him, sweetie. I don't want him." From that moment on, something clicked inside of me. A fight began to rise in me, and for the remainder of our marriage, which was maybe a few months at most, I fought that man with everything I had. I happily divorced him in 2009 and never looked back. I let go of the crack, the weed, cocaine, and drinking. I stopped stealing and manipulating people, and I started working hard for what I had. I dedicated myself fully to my children and to myself. I went back to school and found God in a way like never before. I changed. I went from being a crackhead to a woman of God. I was suicidal, insecure, and I was a child, blessed with 4 children and the wife of a great man of God. I went from being quiet and passive to outspoken in love. I've set my standards, and I do not settle for anything less. Why? Because I'm a chosen people, a royal priesthood, a child of the Most High, a daughter of Zion, and so much more. So, is change truly possible? Yes. Change is possible when we choose to do it and open ourselves up for it. Change happens when we get to a place where we understand we are worth more and choose not to settle for anything less. Change is possible for the worst of the worst because we all make mistakes and take wrong paths, but if we truly want it, it's there for the taking. Remember, Jesus said, "With men this is impossible, but with God all things are possible." Matthew 19:26. Today I pray you will trust God for the impossible. I pray God will remind you of your worth in Him, and it will bring about the right changes needed to bring you out of that pit you're in. I pray that God will show you another level of Himself today, and through that, you will begin to open yourself to Him in ways like never before. Allow God to bring about the change needed to bring in your life through whatever challenges you face today. Open yourself up and watch Him change your whole life around for the better. It doesn't always feel good at first, or even for a while, but I can guarantee you it'll all be worth it. Until next time, be blessed. Don't forget to check out my books, Hearts Flow and Lady Whip Chronicles. Both are available on Amazon in print or Kindle ebook format. Thank you. Once again, thank you for listening. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button below so you can continue to be blessed by my blog. And until next time, be blessed, everyone.